Sorry, you literally just seen.
Everyone, hope you're okay. We'll just get started in a couple of minutes. So we'll just give us a little moment for everyone to join, and then we'll get started.
How many people on this?
It's a webinar, so I don't.
Hey, thank you all for joining. We'll just get started today, to be honest with you. So, hello everybody. Now, we're Medentors. You may or may not know us. Some of you might have just heard of us. It might be the first time you guys have come into a webinar like this. But today is just going to be about you. Today's going to be about getting into medicine and dentistry. How exactly do we get in? What are the pathways? What are the hurdles? Now, some of you may be parents. Some of you may be, at the start of secondary school. Some of you may be in year 12 and looking to apply this year. Now, wherever you are in this time scale, trust me, you can get into medicine and dentistry. And today we're trying to make things a little bit easier for you to give you the right sorts of information so that you know what you need to do. So before I get started, to be honest with you, I'm just going to put a poll out for you guys. Now, answer it truthfully. I just want to see who's here today. We're trying to tailor this conversation to you, tailor this webinar to you. Just make sure that you guys are getting the right source of information. Now, you'll have the opportunity throughout the webinar to ask any questions you need. Me and Mufti will be here. We'll be answering any of your questions. Make sure that you're on the right track to getting into medicine and dentistry. So I'm just going to launch this poll, this question. So if you guys can answer this, it would be great. I just want to get a little bit of an idea of who you guys are, and then hopefully we'll just get started. Okay. Yep, so as expected, we've got a lot of year 12 students, some people in year 13, some of you may have, maybe reapplying, some of you in year 12, you might have no idea what's going on right now. It's perfectly okay. And as well, the GCSE students and the pre-GCSE students, the ones who are dedicated and want to know, you guys want to get into medicine, dentistry. That's amazing. That's great to hear. Today, you guys will be able to know, okay, how do we do that, right? How on earth do we do that? So, we'll just get started. So today, I'm Ibrahim. And I'm joined by Mufti, who will be with us today, and he'll be explaining a lot of what's going on today. So if Mufti wants to say hi.
Hi everyone, I'm Mufti.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're here for you today. So we'll just get straight into it. If you guys haven't heard of us, we're Medentors. So we're a company who've been helping people for the last year and a half to get people into medicine and dentistry. We've helped over 3,000 students globally. We've partnered with over 20 schools. One of those schools may be yours, right? And that's why you're here today. And we help people get into medicine and dentistry by all means possible, whether that's through their grades, through our academy, whether it's through the UCAT preparation exam, which we'll speak about in a little bit later, whether it's through their interview courses. We've curated a lot of resources for you guys to be able to get in. Webinars like these that you're in here today, we'll be doing that for the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years, however long it takes to make sure that you get the right chance and the chance that you deserve as well. So again, I've shown a little bit of our impact. Now, obviously, this may mean nothing to you guys right now, but if you guys utilize our resources, I guarantee you will have a better chance than 95% of the population. So today's plan is, we're just going to be going through, first of all, what are your odds? We're going to start at the beginning. So before I spoil anything, I don't want to spoil anything. Before I spoil anything, what do you guys think? What are your odds? What are your odds of getting into medicine or dentistry? What are the percentages? If someone asked you to name a percentage of the chance to get into medicine or dentistry, what would you say? So put it in the chat. What do you think? The percentage of people that apply to medicine or dentistry, what do we think the percentages that get in
What do we think
are
about
the ones
medicine
that
first,
apply?
guys? Let's
What
start
do
with
you think?
medicine.
Start with
30%.
medicine. Let's say medicine then. I presume, probability wise, most of you are probably applying to medicine. So the medics, what put it in, what do we think? So what do you think the percentages? I mean, we've got 35%, 40%. 40% is amazing, actually. That's really good. We've got 15%, 12%. That's fair guesses. I mean, you've all heard how hard it is, right? I mean, everyone's heard when they're applying to medicine and dentistry, they sit there and they're like, oh, it's so difficult, right? It's so difficult to get into medicine and dentistry. It's so difficult. It's so impossible. But the reality is, it's doable. It's just about having the right sorts of resources, the right guidance around you, and that's the main thing. So, what about dentistry then? I mean, we spoke about medicine. What do you think about dentistry? I mean, what's the percentage of getting to dentistry? Is it harder? Is it easier? I mean, we've got 10%, we've got 11%, we've got 9%, we've got 20%. Amazing. All right. So I feel like I'm in an auction right now. So these are odds. Okay. Now, for those of you who have said 32%, I mean, it's a really good chance. I mean, so I think someone said 35% for med. Amazing. Good job. You know your statistics. So 35% of the people that apply to medicine get an offer. Now, what does an offer mean? Now, we'll explain that in a second. But an offer is, once you apply, is the university tell you, okay, you have the place, you just need to get the grades. So that offer is really important, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in. Okay, so that's just a really important point to make. The chances of getting in is probably a little bit lower than that 32%, just because some people who get the offer, they don't end up getting the grades they need. And because of that, that skewers their chance. And what about dental applicants who got 9%? Now, 9% is very, very low. The reason being is simply there's less spaces. And I mean, recently it's been getting a lot more competitive. A lot of people are switching to dentistry, which is funny enough, right? I mean, we need dentists, right? And we need doctors. But a lot of people are realizing that maybe dentistry is the right thing for them. And that's why the success rates are being so low nowadays. Okay. So I'm just going to give a little bit of the timeline. Now, I know a lot of you guys here are GCSE students. A lot of you here are, might be pre-GCSE, you might be in year 7 to year 9. That's perfectly fine. And for the parents on board as well, your kids may be anywhere between year 7 to year 13, and that's also perfectly fine. Now, this timeline in front of you is a timeline that goes through from September, which is September of year 12, all the way up to year 13. Okay, end of year 13. So this is a really important timeline. Now, for you guys who are in year 11, this is perfect for you because this is the next year for you. Okay. But for those of you who are a little bit earlier on, this won't mean much to you right now. I'm just going to explain a little bit of the timeline. I'm just going to go from the beginning, really. I mean, we've got a lot of people here who are GCSE students. So I'm just going to go from the beginning. So a lot of you here, you'll be doing your GCSEs. Now, the point of GCSEs, there's not really too much to do. It's about getting your GCSEs, and it's about gaining a little bit of experience, getting a little bit of work experience, getting a little bit of volunteering experience, kind of just exploring the career. I think exploring the career is the main thing for you. Once you start exploring your career, it'll make things a lot easier. I mean, you'll know what you want to do, and at the same time, you'll get the right experience that you need. And then once that experience sort of dies down, I mean, I presume up until, correct me if I'm wrong, Mufti, I'll say about March time of year 12. I mean, that's kind of the prime time. That's where you should be getting the majority of your experience. All the way from year 10 till March of year 12, you should be getting a lot of your work experience because a lot of this experience will build you. It'll build you as a person. It'll build you in your interviews, which, I mean, a little sneak peek, it will be happening in around November of year 13, your interviews. And it will help you for your personal statements, which you'll be submitting around September time. Okay? So, I mean, what do we do? I mean, we've talked about work experience, right? What else is there? Well, in year 12, we have we have a few things, right? First of all, you'll have your mock exams. Now, these mock exams that you do in year 12, for the majority of you, I mean, for those of you going in college, you'll have the same sorts of things. For those of you going to sixth form, same sort of thing. In year 12, you'll be doing mock exam near the end of the year. For most people, that's what influences what's called their predicted grades. Those predicted grades are the grades that you will be using to apply to medicine or dental school the first time round. Okay? So I'm just going to repeat that again. Those aren't your real grades. They're not your real A-level grades. Okay? You do them a year before A-levels. You do them in year 12. But it tells the universities that this is what the teachers think you're going to get. And that's what you use to apply to medicine and dentistry. I know it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. The reason being is, for example, if you go to America and you go and apply to med school, you'll be using your real, your pre-med grades, or you'll be using your SAT grades. You'll actually be using the ones that you got in your exam. However, in England, that's not the case. In England, no, you'll be using your predicted grades. Now, obviously, if you're taking a gap year and you've already done your A-levels, then yes, you'll be using your A-level grades. However, this is for people who are in year 12 and want to apply traditionally, let's say, when they're 17 to 18 years old. So, you've done your UCAS exams. What's next? You have the UCAT. UCAT's a big thing. Now, I'm not going to go too much into it because we'll be speaking about this. But your UCAT is your entrance exam, okay? Your entrance exam. And that entrance exam is, for a lot of people, life or death. This is the one that tells you, okay, can I apply to medicine or dentistry this year? Or maybe should I wait it out? That entrance exam is really important, and you can only do it once a year. And then you have the time at which you'll be applying to medical school. That's around September of year 13. You'll be thinking of applying. Again, we have a whole lot of resources for that. We have a UCAT guide, which can help for your UCAT, for your UCAT preparation. We'll also be doing UCAT courses around that time. And during strategic application season, we'll be having a strategic applications guide, which will tell you, okay, which medical or dental schools can I apply to? At that point, you'll be having your interviews, which we'll be speaking about in a moment. Your interviews, something called MMIs, which we'll speak about later. And then you'll have your A-level exams. Once those are done, congratulations, you're in medical or dental school. And hopefully, that's the picture for all of you. Now, if it's not, and if you're taking a non-traditional route, you're taking something that's maybe a little bit out of the norm, that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, as long as you have a place at medical or dental school, that's it. Okay? That's as good as you need, right? It doesn't matter what route you take. So again, you might have a whole lot of questions about that. If you do, ask them in the chat, but we'll be going through a lot of these stages in the webinar today. So I'm just going to before I hand over to Mufti, actually, I'm just going to speak about this if that's okay. So, year 12, I've spoken a lot about this. I've spoken a little bit about work experience and volunteering. Now, for those of you, this is really, really relevant for those of you who are in year 12 and below. And for the parents here today, this is really relevant for you guys as well. Because this is something you can directly influence. It is something you can actually change from now. Try and get work experience. It's very difficult. It's a difficult thing. Your school might have ways to get work experience. They may not. Okay? If not, that's perfectly fine. Trust me, if you email the GP practices around you, if you email the dental practices around you, if you email the hospitals around you, you'd be surprised who'll give you an opportunity. And that opportunity just needs to happen once. Once you have that one opportunity, you're perfectly fine. Now, if you don't have the chance to do work experience, that's perfectly fine as well, because a lot of providers on the internet do free online work experience. And now, since COVID times, online work experience has been regarded just as good as work experience, because it doesn't matter about what the work experience is, it's about what you reflect from it. And that's really important. When you go in there and you do these experiences, you need to think, what did I gain from this? Right? What skills did I see? What did I gain from this? And keep a track of it. Okay? Keep a track of these things. Because if you keep a track of what you gained from the work experience, that's what you're going to be writing about. It's not going to be about what you've seen necessarily. It's going to be about what you've gained from it. And that reflection is the most important thing. That reflection is going to be the thing that gets you into medical or dental school. So, if you don't have work experience, don't have online work experience, whatever, you could do online work experience. Other than that, you could be doing some volunteering. Volunteering is really good. It builds your skills, builds you up as a person. Get anything, whether it's volunteering in your school, whether it's being a prefect, whether it's being, mentoring the younger children, right? Whether it's volunteering in your local care home, wherever it is, it's beneficial because you're building your communication skills. You're building the skills that you need to be a doctor or dentist, right? You can also look into supercurriculars. Supercurriculars, just some, you might have not heard of that word, but it's extra things, things like research, things like looking into certain topics that you like, right? Gaining that little bit of information and gaining that insight through research is really important because it shows that you're willing to learn. And in the career that you're going to, that being medicine, dentistry, those careers are really, really heavy in research. They're really, really heavy in what's called lifelong learning. Throughout your whole career, you're going to be learning. You're going to be learning and reflecting and looking at mistakes and things that you've done wrong. You're going to be doing that the whole time. So the medical and dental schools want to see, okay, can you do that? Can you do that? Can you be someone who learns for the rest of their life? And the way to do that is to gain these supercurricular skills. Okay, it's really important. Again, your studies is, God, you don't need me to tell you. Your parents are probably telling you. All right, I won't tell you. All right, but your GCSEs and your A levels are really important. Okay, that should be your priority number one. Those should be a priority. But at the end of the day, when you apply to medicine and dentistry, everyone has the grades. So it's important to understand that, okay, what can I do that's different? What can I do that's different? What can I do that makes me stand out? If you can solve that problem, then trust me, you're on the path. Okay? Now, again, don't forget to enjoy yourself. At the end of the day, you will have a lot of opportunities to do these sorts of things. Make sure that you're enjoying yourself. The worst thing that you can do is burn out. Burning out will kill you. It'll kill your drive. It'll kill your education. It'll kill everything. You don't need to do that. Okay? Enjoy yourself. Make it worthwhile. At the end of the day, if this is a career that you want to do, it'll be enjoyable. It will be enjoyable. And I guarantee you that. Okay? Now, again, just make sure if there's any questions, again, I'll be answering some questions in the chat in a moment if you guys have anything. We'll have a Q&A at the end as well. But if there's anything that you guys need help with support with, ask us and ask your school. We'll be happy to support you. That's what we're here for, right? So make use of us, because the people who they go out there and they ask for help, they're the ones that gain the insight that most people don't gain. And those insights are usually the stepping stones to success. So I'm just going to hand over to Mufti here, and he'll be speaking about navigating your work experience. Thank you, Mufti.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ibrahim. And that was a lovely introduction and summary of all the key points that we're going to be covering through the application cycle. Now, many of you guys may have been overburdened by that previous slide where we had that timeline going through all the events of getting into medicine and dentistry. But once you realize that it's really just one step at a time, that we're really just taking one phase as we go through our years, as we go through the months, and we get into the admission stage, that's when things become a lot easier. So I want you guys to break it down. Understand what current level you are at in your application cycle. For the majority of you, your year 12s and 11s, and some of you guys are also parents for your children looking to come here to have a better understanding of the career. So right now, it's not your main priority to be focusing on things like the UCAT, the interviews, and other things. Your main focus should be on your GCSEs, which form a huge part of your application in your medical school applications, which we do in the October of year 13. And you should also be focusing on your supercurriculars, your extracurriculars, work experience, and these sorts of things. I'm just going to go back now to the previous slide and just cover a lot of the questions. There were quite a few questions on this topic, so I just want to revisit this. Firstly, supercurriculars and extracurriculars are two separate things. The key difference between the two of them are extracurriculars are things you do outside of school, outside of your studies, outside of your A levels, your GCSEs. So this is me being the school captain. This is me being the captain of the hockey team. This is me being the charity lead for an organization or a community center. This is me winning a debating competition. Those are your extracurriculars. Those are things that make you more than just an academic person. Supercurriculars are pretty much just the opposite of that. They are very academically focused. Supercurriculars is further research, further interest, essay competitions, art competitions, or research projects, PowerPoint presentations on specific medical or dental topics that you're interested in. And to a certain degree, this is required of all applicants because in your personal statement, you're going to have to write about your supercurriculars, or you'll have to talk about specific research or specific reading you've done into this topic to show them you're interested. Because a lot of people, when they apply to medicine and dentistry, everyone's applying. It's a very competitive degree. You've been shown the numbers on the previous slide that the percentages can be low. So how do we counteract that? Well, we counteract that by doing supercurriculars, by doing research, by reading into these topics to show that we have an understanding. And we're going to go through how we're going to tackle that coming up very soon. Okay, so that is to clear up some misconceptions. Right. So moving on to the next step, work experience. This is key. Not only is it key because it's something that you're going to be asked about in your interviews for, but it's also key because this is what you're going to be spending your summer writing for your personal statement for. Okay, guys? So for your work experience, the good thing about universities are they are very lenient and they understand that it's difficult to get work experience. And also, some people may come from backgrounds in which they may not have any family members who are working in a medical field, or they may not know any doctors and dentists. Therefore, getting physical in-person work experience may be difficult. And that's why every single university, pretty much all of them, allow for online work experience, okay? And they also allow for work experience in other healthcare related fields, as provided that you're able to reflect back to the career of medicine and dentistry that you're hoping to get into, okay? So I'd recommend you guys to try your utmost best to try to get physical experience, to really give yourself the peace of mind and the insight to get into the career. On a side note, one time I went to a school and the teacher told me that in the room you're going to see 100 students, and out of those 100 students, only 50 of them are actually going to send off their UCAS applications for medicine and dentistry. And that's because of a lot of students, they really start off year 12, year 11, looking to get into this career. But their motivation falls off. And the reason it falls off is because they go into work experience and they see this career isn't for me. And I think that's a good thing. You may be thinking, how's that a good thing when so many people are leaving? I think that's a good thing because you understand if this career truly is for you. And by going into work experience, it'll give you an idea, an understanding of what a day-to-day life looks like of a healthcare professional. And there's nothing more valuable than that. There's no supercurricular, no research, no personal statement, no UCAT that's going to help you more than getting a good understanding of the career. And this is the most important part. Okay, guys? So for your work experience, just a few key tips I'd give you, because this is going to come up back again when we go into our interviews and personal statement section coming up. Look at what the doctors did. You don't need to be an expert and know all the medical details or the dental terminologies. You don't need to know everything in detail, like what handover, sign-off, referral, and these things are. Look at the skills they're displaying. How are they showing team working skills within the multidisciplinary team? How are they showing empathy towards patients? How are they showing their organization, their time management? Perhaps talk about the difficulties of being a doctor. What did the doctor find difficult? Do they feel stressed? Do they feel overburdened? Do they feel a huge amount of responsibility? Do they feel uneasy with certain diagnosis and this sort of thing? What sort of skills are they using? Are they using skills that they learned in medical school? Is it hands-on? Is it more laid back? Understand the different concepts, write it down, make a note, and be able to link it to your own experiences. So an example I would give would be, let's say I saw a doctor show a high level of empathy and he had a patient who perhaps, struggled with their self-image, and they were able to sit down with them, relax them, and reassure them that, it's okay to feel a certain way as long as you're always working on your mental health and the way you perceive yourself. And they were able to provide that level of reassurance. You can talk about that experience and reflect it in your personal statement, and then you can link it back to yourself and say, I had a position as a mentor for an autistic student, and I mentored them, I don't know, GCSE chemistry, and they struggled with their confidence in the subject, and I was gradually able to tackle any issues and misconceptions they had, improving their confidence. So I understand what it's like to be on the other side and improve the confidence of someone from using my knowledge. These are the sorts of things that you can reflect on in your work experience that's going to make it fruitful for you guys. Okay, cool. So that is the next stage. Okay, so it's time to tackle the elephant in the room. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been worrying about this exam, and if many of you may have heard about this from medical students, year 13s, or any family friends or anyone you know going into medicine dentistry above you, that the UCAT is notoriously known as a difficult exam. So in the summer of year 12, or in the summer before you apply for medicine and dentistry, you have to sit a compulsory admissions test, and this is known as the UCAT exam, the University's Clinical Aptitude Test. That's what it stands for, okay? And previously it was called the UCAT. So in older websites, you may have seen that name thrown around. Now, this test is something that I want you guys to focus more on going later. So right now you should be working on your personal experiences, such as your work experience, looking into supercurricular projects, starting them, perhaps working on your extracurriculars, finding examples in your life of when you've displayed certain skills. But once you've got all of that down, as Ibrahim has nicely displayed for us in the previous slides, we're going to make a start towards the UCAT. Now for the UCAT, I'd say the best thing to do right now at this stage is to not worry about it an awful lot. What you can do right now to help calm your nerves down a little bit is to go on the official UCAT Consortium website. So I want you guys, perhaps after this webinar, if you're really curious, to just go over the UCAT Consortium website, and on that, just have a look at what sort of questions they can ask you. And that'll give you a general understanding of what sort of things can be seen. Okay, so just to break down how the UCAT exam phases in terms of how it's scored, the UCAT is made up of 4 subsections, okay? It's made up of 4 subsections. 3 of those 4 subsections are the cognitive sections. And those 3 subsections out of the 4 will give you a score out of 2,700. Each of them are scored out of 900. So 900 plus 900 plus 900 gives me a score out of 2,700. The fourth section is called the situational judgment test, and that is scored completely differently from the other three. And it will give you a banding score from band 1 being the best possible score, the highest, and band 4 being the lowest possible score. Okay? So going into the first three subsections, which are your quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning, and decision making, let's break down each of the subsections. The first subsection is verbal reasoning, and it has a score out of 900 that you can get. So the highest score is 900 that you can get, and that's if you get every question right. And the lowest score is 300. Now, the exam is held in a multiple choice format. And in this multiple choice format, you'll be given roughly a short period of time. So you'll have roughly 30 seconds per question. So you'll be given 44 questions, and you'll have 30 seconds per question. So you'll have roughly 23 to 24 minutes to answer the whole 44 question subsection. And in that, you'll be given comprehension, and you have to pick out of the 3 or 4 options the best possible answer. Okay? That is how the verbal reasoning subsection works. It's also the lowest scored subsection in the UCAT, and it's notoriously known as being one that is difficult and hard to prepare for. So I definitely recommend you guys to go on the UCAT Consortium website when you're free and perhaps practice a bit of your speed reading and analytic skills, and just get an idea of what sort of things to do. Perhaps try speed reading every single thing. So next time you pick up a newspaper article or you're scrolling on social media and you see a huge article, just try speed reading through that and pick up the keywords. That'll help you get into the flow of developing your verbal reasoning score. Okay, guys? The next subsection that comes after that is the decision-making subsection. And again, the highest score is 900 and the lowest score is 300. And 900 is when you get all 36 out of 36 marks. Decision-making is the weird one. That's where you get loads of puzzles. So you'll be given weird, nonsensical statements, and you have to make puzzles out of them. You'll also be given shapes and say square plus triangle equals rectangle, and they'll give you a bunch of equations, and you have to tell me how many triangles equals 5 squares or something like that. And it'll be weird mathematical scenarios, or they may give you names like Jess has a red dog, Katie has a blue dog, etc. What color dog does Ethan have? I don't know. So they'll give you weird scenarios where you have to use logical thinking and you have to use the information that's given to you. A lot of students do struggle with this, but this is one of the most improved subsections, which is one thing that I really like. It's something where you can leverage to increase your marks. And the final subsection of the UCAT is the quantitative reasoning. Quantitative reasoning is quite simple. It's literally year 9 maths questions that you can mainly do with mental maths, and you have a small calculator in front of you. You're not allowed to bring your own calculator. You have to use the official one. So you have to get comfortable with using the keypad and the calculator shortcuts. And on that, obviously the highest score is 900, the lowest is 300. And there you have to really train your mental math skills. So you'll be given bar charts, pie diagrams, tables, ticket calculations, calorie labels, these sorts of things. And you just have to do basic calculations. The calculations will never be difficult. So being an A-level math student will not put you in an advantage. I repeat, being an A-level math student will not put you in an advantage. It's the most highly trainable subsection, and it's the one where people can go from a low score to 900. I've seen it with countless of our students who managed to score ridiculously high on their UCAT, and that's all thanks to them prioritizing their quantitative reasoning, because you can really improve that subsection. Okay, but this is something that you guys have got time to worry about. The SJT subsection, the final one, is scored completely differently. So you'll get a score out of 2,700 for your main UCAT cognitive section, but whatever score you get out of 2,700, it is independent from the score you get for your SJT. So for SJT, you could do really badly in it, but if you get a really high cognitive subsection, it won't influence it, and vice versa. So for SJT, the situational judgment subsection, the way it works is they give you some scenarios and they say, how appropriate is it to do this action in this scenario? So let's say, I don't know, a patient notes have been lost and you see the patient's information on the floor and anyone can see it. It's visible to the public. How appropriate is it to hide the information and report it? That would be very appropriate. So you'd pick A, the most appropriate option, and things like that. Okay. So as someone who managed to get band 1, which is the top band in my SJT, the biggest tip I'd give is to make a list of all the possible scenarios they can give you. There's 5 key themes that falls into. We'll go into this in more detail and really work on them. Okay. So that is the UCAT overview. And if you guys have any questions, we can go into that in the Q&A, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just focus right now on your work experience, personal statement, and supercurriculars, etc. Okay. Cool. Moving on. So we've talked about the summer of year 12 where you'll be covering the UCAT. Now let's talk about the personal statement. This is where you mash everything together. This is where everything all comes together. Your personal experiences, your extracurriculars, supercurriculars, work experience, examples in your life, why you want to do medicine, why you want to do dentistry, and linking it all together in a coherent fashion. Now, the personal statement is one of the subsections of the application cycle that students struggle with because they often feel like, oh no, I don't have enough done. Which is why I always urge you guys, go back to the previous slide, which Ibrahim covered, talking about the high yield things that we should be covering. And once you've got those nailed down, the personal statement is like a breeze. You cannot write a bad personal statement when you've got everything done. You just need to be able to elaborate on it effectively and it will feel easy. Okay? So here's how it starts. Here's a few key tips. Read over articles for this. So we've got plenty of articles on the Medentors website, and we've also got webinars that have talked about the personal statement before, so do look into them. Closer to time, we're going to be running personal statement webinars that are going to be going into information and detail of how to tackle every single subsection. Okay, and one final tip I'd give with a personal statement as well is the fact that the personal statement is never going to feel perfect. I remember I probably had like 7 drafts for my personal statement, and it never felt perfect until I submitted it. And by the end, universities loved it. That's why I was accepted into medical school, because they read through it and they realized that, yeah, this is something that's acceptable. So you won't always feel like your personal statement is perfect. But as long as you have those experiences, as long as people around you have acknowledged it and said, you know, this is well written, you should be fine. Okay, guys? Okay, brilliant. And going into a bit more detail, the personal statement was changed as of last year. So the current year 13s, the personal statement they had to write was different from the years above. Okay? What that means is the personal statement now has been broken down into 3 key questions. So on this slide, I'm going to break down the 3 key questions it's broken down into. The first question breaks down your motivation and why you want to go into a career, perhaps a bit about your work experience and reflection in your A-levels. The second question goes a bit more into your wider reading, your supercurriculars, and what sort of skills and experiences you've developed. So this is going deeper into your passion for the subject, whereas initially we're looking into your experiences with the first question. And for the final question, what it's looking into is your outer experiences. What have you done outside? Extracurriculars, hobbies, things outside that make you a person. Because at the end of the day, medical and dental schools, they don't want robots. They really don't. Even though they're looking for these high UCAT scores, high grades, amazing personal statements, they're looking for someone that has a healthy work-life balance. Because healthcare staff are some of the most challenged and some of the most burnt out staffs within the UK's workforce. And it's essential, it's crucial to select students who have a strong work-life balance and they're able to properly allocate their time towards their studying duties as well as balancing their time to avoid burnout. And this is one of the key things you'll notice time and time again that are being brought up. So really hone in and talk about yourself as a person and your hobbies towards the end of your personal statement in that third question. And this will help you stand out. Okay? Cool. Excellent. And after that, what will happen toward the end is everything will be laid out. Okay, guys? So that is what the next slide essentially goes into. We are going to be finalizing our application. Now, the way this works is that once everything is done, so you've done your personal statement, you've sat your UCAT exam, you've done your GCSEs all the way back in year 11, you've done your work experience, your supercurriculars, your personal statement, your UCAT, everything's been done. Now it's finally time for you to finalize your UCAS application, okay? Your UCAS application is essentially a platform which your school's going to help you with. So I know lots of schools, they use UCAS. What that is a platform where you send off your applications. So your school probably sometime now, if they haven't already, are going to get you to start signing on it and getting used to how to use UCAS. What you're going to do on there is on October 16th is the deadline for medicine and dentistry. So probably at the start of October, most students have sent off their applications. What you're going to do is you're going to send in your personal statement and you're going to add in your UCAT score, your grades, your GCSEs, everything you've done. And then you're going to pick 4 medical schools or 4 dental schools that you want to apply to, depending on if you want to do medicine and dentistry. That is the upper limit. You'll notice that many of your friends that are doing subjects that aren't medicine and dentistry, like engineering, law, computer science, they're going to be picking 5 subjects. Well, 5 universities, sorry. Well, because of how competitive medicine and dentistry is, they've actually capped it at 4 universities that you can apply to. So therefore, your 5th option on UCAS can be any other course. So I know lots of friends that are applying for medicine. They picked dentistry as their 5th choice. However, there's only a select few dental schools you can pick as a 5th choice if you've picked 4 medical schools, and those are the dental schools that don't read your personal statement, because your personal statement will tell you how much of an amazing doctor you want to be. And I'm sure dental schools don't want to know that. They want to know how much of a good dentist you'll be. So pick strategically, and this is why I say read our strategic applications guide. This is the most high yield guide out there available on the internet, hands down, because it's been constructed by plenty of students at every single UK university where we've broken down into their entry requirements, the UCAT cutoffs, the predicted grades they're looking for, the course structure, what's good about them, how they hold interviews, the post-interview success rate. All the data from the latest application cycle is available there. So I definitely recommend when you're picking your 4 universities to apply to, read through your strategic applications guide. Now, on that topic of strategic application, the beauty of getting into medicine and dentistry is really so that when you're applying for medicine and dentistry, you may not have had the strongest GCSEs. And that's okay, because there are some UK universities for medicine and dentistry that will prioritize, that will say, okay, if you don't have the highest GCSEs, that's okay, because we prioritize the UCAT more. So they will weight the UCAT more in their weightage and their selection process. So pick universities that weigh the UCAT. These universities are things like Bristol, King's College London, Aston University, these sorts of medical schools, and Imperial as well, that have a high weighting on the UCAT as compared to GCSEs. Whereas other schools, they say, perhaps you didn't do the best on your UCAT, but I had very strong GCSEs. So I'm going to play to my strengths here. That was my strength. I managed to get all 9s in my GCSEs. And I picked universities that heavily weighed the GCSEs. So universities like Birmingham, Cardiff, King's as well for medicine and dentistry, and Leicester. These medical and dental schools in general have a high weighting on their GCSEs. Perhaps your GCSEs weren't the best or your UCAT wasn't the best. That's a worst case scenario, because generally speaking, the 2 main things we're looking at is number 1, the UCAT, and number 2, your GCSEs. So the third thing we look at after that is your extracurriculars, your contextual status, your personal statement. So pick universities that look at that. So universities like Sunderland, Keele, etc. And for dentistry, it's Liverpool. They look less at your UCAT and more at your non-academic form. So there's many of options available for you. There's almost a university available for everyone. So if you feel like you haven't quite got the UCAT in the summer of year 12 that you wanted, or you haven't quite got the GCSEs in year 11, there may still be options for you. And if you aren't successful, then next year you will know when you take your UCAT that this is what I want to aim for and this is what I need to improve on. So it's really just a continuous cycle. Do look into that. The next very common question that I get asked, and I get this asked a lot, does it matter which medical or dental school I graduate from? And the short answer for that is no. And that's because every single medical and dental school is equally accredited by the GMC or the GDC for dentistry. And therefore, they have the same postgraduate opportunities. So no, it doesn't matter. However, for some people, they may have a preference. For example, I may be someone who, let's say I'm an aspiring surgeon. I may opt for a university that has prestigious surgical centers around it. Like, let's say, King's College London. I know that they do placements in Guy's and St. Thomas's Hospital. And I know they have a state-of-the-art robotic surgery center. And therefore, I'm very interested in studying in King's, for example. Okay? So that is the key difference for some courses. Or perhaps, let's say I would prefer to study in a course where we have anatomy teaching via full body dissection. Some universities, the way we learn anatomy is that we have a full body dissection, which is basically a cadaver. So it's like a dead body, and we dissect it ourselves. And that's how we learn anatomy. Whereas in other medical schools, you have prosection, where they give you certain body parts and you break it down. For me personally, my university has full cadaver dissections because I like to go into the specific organs and find them myself on a dead body. But you may have a preference. So these are the things that matter as well. And other things as well, such as early clinical exposure. Some medical schools like mine, I get clinical exposure in 3rd year. So I haven't actually been to the hospital yet. I'm still in my preclinical lectures-based learning. But some medical schools, they really like to focus on clinical exposure early, like many London universities. And you get exposure much earlier in your 1st year and 2nd year. Whereas me personally, I may not have done that because I like to learn my sciences better. So definitely research the subject and definitely research the university's teaching styles. Everything is available on our strategic applications guide and the university's website if you want to do a bit further reading. Okay, guys? Cool. Any further questions, I'm happy to answer it when we go into the Q&A. But moving on. Right. So the next step of the application cycle is the MMIs. So you've sent off your applications. You've applied to the 4 medical schools or 4 dental schools. Now the dental schools and medical schools, what they're doing is they're scoring all the applicants from highest to lowest. So who got the highest UCAT, who got the highest GCSEs, etc. And they're doing a cutoff system. What's going to happen is if you are above the cutoff for that year, which they don't announce in advance. So on our strategic applications guide, we've written down the cutoffs from the latest cycle. However, no one knows what the cutoff will be for next year. And some years we've seen the cutoffs skyrocket. And in other years, we've seen them plummet down. So it really matters year on year. So don't be alarmed if you're not too far away from one. Okay? Universities will pick applicants. Certain amount of applicants, unfortunately, will have to be rejected. And that's just the nature of the degree. Whereas another subsection of applicants will be invited for an interview. So that's what happens next. universities invite you for an interview. Now, interviews happen in year 13. Right now, the year 13s currently, our students are currently sitting their interviews, and many of them have got their interviews literally tomorrow. I was doing mock interview sessions the other day, and a lot of students had the interviews just this week. So we really are in the breadth of interview season. And the way interviews work, because this is quite far out, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, is that there's two main types of interviews that they hold. There's MMI and panel. The main type is MMI. That's the one you need to know about. And essentially what happens is that they invite you either in person or it can be done online. And what happens is there's roughly 5 to 8 mini small rooms, because MMI stands for multiple mini interviews. So essentially, instead of you interviewing you once with one person, they hold multiple small interviews at the same time. Every mini interview lasts around 8 minutes. So for 8 minutes, you will be timed. You'll be in a station, so in a room. And after 8 minutes, a buzzer will ring and you'll move to the next room. And it's like a cycle. And you complete a circuit until you get back to that room and your interview is over. Every single station or every single mini interview tests a different skill. For example, I might start on the motivation station. So on this slide, we've got the different station types. And over there, I'll be asked things like, why do you want to study medicine? Why do you want to study dentistry? Why specifically this university's course? Why the course for Leicester or Cardiff or Birmingham or whatever? Why specifically this degree? Or perhaps what is difficult about medicine? What have you done in your work experience? Tell me a bit about this. Tell me about your supercurriculars. They'll ask about you as a person and the degree. That's one type of station. The next type of station is the role play station. So after the 8 minutes timing, or however long they time you for, they will send me to the role play station. And in that, there will be an actor. And the actor will act out a patient, a colleague, a student, anyone, your teacher, anyone. It can be anything. And there'll be a scenario in which you have to act, and you'll be scored on that. Then you move to the next station, which could be the ethical station. And in this one, they'll give you an ethical scenario, like, what do you think about abortion, euthanasia, transplant, etc., and how would you handle it? Okay. And the next station type, which is also common, is your hot topic station. And they'll talk about up and coming hot topics that are going around in medicine. So they could talk about the junior doctor strikes that are going on. Or in dentistry, they could be talking about our dental tourism, such as turkey teeth, etc., or water fluoridation, and hot topics that are really pressing and controversial. And they want to hear a balanced argument from you. And don't worry, guys, when we get to year 13, we're going to train you guys up to top standard and make sure you guys smash the interviews. We've got lots of videos if you want to do some further reading on our YouTube on how to do that for now. But for now, just focus on what you've got ahead of you. And then there's miscellaneous station types. So you could be given something like, I don't know, a data interpretation station where you're given data. You could be given a group task. You could be given, for dentistry, a manual dexterity station where you have to use your hands to make a filling, or hold some beads together, or do some origami while speaking, testing your coordination skills. Okay, so it really does matter for that side of things. Okay, cool. Now, once all of that is said and done, and you've done your interview, what will happen is universities, they will look at everyone they've interviewed. And unfortunately, yet again, they can only give a certain amount of people that are interviewed offers. So let's say I'm a university, like University of Manchester. They interview loads of people. They interview roughly 1,000 people. Only 600 of those 1,000 people, those top scoring applicants, those with the most confident, the most compelling, the best structured answers, are going to be getting those offers. So they're going to give you offers now. And the other 400 people will unfortunately be rejected. So roughly 600 people, or a certain percentage of people, will be given offers, and there will be a cutoff stated. And you'll receive an email around perhaps May time. So your interviews are happening from December to March, and you're receiving your results from around March to May. Okay? That's when universities get back to you and tell you if they've liked your interview or not. So what will happen is they'll say, I'm going to give you an offer, but this offer is conditional. This offer is conditional on the basis that you achieve A star AA in your A levels, or 3 A's in your A levels, or if you're contextual, ABB, etc. They will give you something called a contextual offer. And in this, what you have to do is match your A levels. And this is where the final hurdle really kicks in, because it's May time now, it's March time now, and your interviews are over. The only thing ahead of you now is your A levels, your 3 subjects, or 4 for some of you, that you've really got to hone down on and get those top grades. And this is why A levels are so important. I've seen countless people, we've seen the stats earlier, getting into medicine and dentistry isn't easy. I've seen people receive offers for prestigious medical schools, prestigious dental schools, but they've really managed to scuff it up on their A levels because perhaps they didn't revise as much, or perhaps they weren't prepared, or they were too lost in interview preparation and the whole application cycle, which is why a career like medicine and dentistry really demands from you to have amazing prioritization skills and strong time management skills, to the extent where you can balance all of your activities. Okay, So do be keeping a close eye on your A-levels across the whole time. It's easier said than done, but applying the strategies we've talked about in our webinars, I'm sure you guys can achieve this. And after that, you guys will receive your offers, okay? And on results day, I hope you guys are happy and managed to get into medical dental schools. Congratulations. You'll get an email on results day at 8 a.m. from UCAS. There'll be a green tick and you become a medical student or dental student. Congratulations. But like the slide says, it all doesn't matter if you don't get the grades. Okay? I'm now going to be handing over to Ibrahim, who's going to walk you guys through the rest of the webinar.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mufti. I mean, he's gone through everything, and I've just placed this back here just so you guys have an idea of what's going on. I mean, if you have a look at my cursor, we've started all the way from here, and we've gone all the way to here now, results day. Okay, so we've talked about A-levels. Now, for those of you guys who are in GCSEs, yes, GCSEs matter. They matter a lot, okay? They don't matter as much as you think, okay? In the sense that you need the grades. Yes, of course you need the grades. But as Mufti has stated very, very rightly, different universities will prioritize different things. A lot of universities that prioritize the GCSEs, UOB, for example, University of Birmingham, they look a lot at GCSEs. If you have really good GCSEs, that's a really good option for you. However, there's some universities that they don't really care about GCSEs. Maybe they care about the UCAT more, right? If you get the certain UCAT cutoff point, that's it, you're in. You've got an interview offer. Again, it's about who you are, it's about how you apply more than it is about the things that you've achieved. That's something I really, really want to let you guys know, because this is something that doesn't really get spoken about. I mean, people assume, okay, I didn't get the grades, I didn't get the UCAT, I didn't get the A-levels, I can't get in. But the reality is, if you have strong points and weak points, you can definitely manipulate that to your advantage. You can definitely utilize that. It's about the strategic applications. That is the most important thing of this whole process, and that's why it's right in the middle. Okay, that is the most important thing. If you get the strategic applications right, your interviews will be flooding in. If your interviews will be flooding in, you'll be flooding in offers. And if you can flood in offers, trust me, you have more than a good chance of getting into medicine and dentistry. Okay. So, I mean, for those of you who, have no idea who we are, you might have joined here for the first time, you may have been sent this email around. Thank you so much for coming in here today. I really, really, really think you guys should join our WhatsApp community. That community has been a helping hand for thousands and thousands of people and students across the country. People have asked questions, gained questions back. I mean, the questions that you've asked today, ask those in the WhatsApp community. People will help you out. Other medical and dental students, people who are applying just like yourselves, they will give you their wisdom, help each other. Join the WhatsApp community, and I think that will be a huge play in getting into medicine and dentistry. So if you guys haven't joined, do scan the QR code and join. We'll be posting webinars like this on there. We'll be posting resources like this on there. Our UCAT guide, our strategic applications guide, our interview guide, things that are completely free and there for you to use. We also have courses. We also have mock MMIs. When it comes to the time, we will be there to support you. So do join our WhatsApp community. Do get involved and let everyone know about it. So what's next? Now, for those of you who, of course, are in year 12, and this is mainly for year 12, but even the GCSE students, we've done this, right? Getting into medicine and dentistry, we've talked about it. Now it's about reflecting about work experience. We're going to go into a little bit more detail on the work experience side and the personal statement side. We'll be doing a few webinars like that over the next couple of months. So do stay tuned. Make sure that you utilize them. Make sure you utilize these webinars. Make sure you utilize the questions as well. Ask us questions. Anything you need, ask us. Let us know. We'll be more than happy to support you. And for those of you who are looking for a little bit of insight, you don't really know what's going on. Maybe you don't really know if this is the career that you need. We have our very own Medentors Society. In this Medentors Society, we try and every once a month, every couple of months, we bring in a speaker. We bring in a doctor and dentist, and he comes in and speaks to you about their career, about their life, about their aspirations. Something that you guys could definitely use as experience, right? Something that you can use for your personal statements and for your interviews. So do stay tuned for that. That's something that's really helpful and can really help you get on top of things. So again, if you have a look at our website, for those of you who are looking to get a little bit of an early look at the UCAT, we have the UCAT guide on our website. So do head over to our website, medentors.co.uk, and head over to the guides and do download it. Download it for yourself and have a look. Have a look at the UCAT. Have a familiarize yourself with the overview, but do make sure that you're not doing the preparation too early. When the time comes, we will be there to support you. Don't burn yourself out. Okay. Through all of this, whether you're year 11, year 10 doing your GCSEs, whether you're a younger student and this has just overwhelmed you, right? Or whether you're someone in year 12 who's trying to balance all these different things, don't let it burn you out. It's not the end of the world. And as we've said, and I've said multiple times, that strategic application will be the make or break for your medicine dental career. So no matter what your weak points are and your strong points, doesn't matter, okay? Because you can utilize the process, you can utilize the information around you in order to maximize your chances. And as long as you're doing that, I'm a happy man. Okay. So for those of you who are in year 11 and year 10, for those of you who are year 12 and 13, those of you who are maybe a bit stressed, maybe you're really good at all this medical and dental stuff. You know what you're doing, right? You've got some more experience lined up. You've got all these different things lined up. But for some reason, you can't hack your GCSEs. You can't hack your A-levels. You don't know what's going on. If you're a parent and maybe you're worried about your child, do scan this QR code. We have our Medentors Academy. We have tutors. We have our tuition service there to support you. Throughout all of this, yes, people are stressed. People are stressed through their medicine dentistry journey. But again, the grades are the things you need. You need to make sure the grades are there. So for those of you who have no idea what's going on, or maybe you just need a little bit of extra support, do utilize us. Please book a free consultation and somebody on our team will come in and speak to you. Someone on our team will come in, will match you to a tutor and make sure that you're on that track to those good grades. So for those of you looking for tutoring, do scan that QR code. If you can't scan that QR code, head over to our website and we'll be happy to support you. And now that that's done, it's just a Q&A panel. I know I've answered a lot of questions. I've been typing here, typing back and forth to a lot of you. But if there are any burning questions, now this is mainly for people who are in year 12 and below. If you're in year 13, you're asking interview questions or anything specific, I will really urge you to ask those on the group chat. Ask them on the community. Someone will support you there. But for those of you who are in year 12 or below and are very confused about what's going on, if you have any questions right now, I'll be happy to assist you. So Mufti, if you want to take up from here, we'll be there.
Yeah, definitely, guys. I know that we have just went through a bucket load of content for you guys to be considering. And this is quite heavy because this